Welcome to Soul of Chicago. Thank you for being here today for what promises to be a great conversation. I'm Henry Munez, Vice Chair of BMO US and a member of the Board of Directors of the Executives Club of Chicago. I'm also a proud Chicagoan and have had the privilege of serving Chicagoland clients and communities as a banker for over 30 plus years, especially at BMO. I've held a lot of different roles for the last 18 years. With our U.S. headquarters in Chicago, BMO, thank you. BMO has been involved in neighborhood transformation through the work that we do. We have been the #1 corporate giver by far to United Way Metropolitan Chicago by investing in its neighborhood network programs from Auburn Gresham to Austin to Little Village. Thank you. The soul and hearts of the city are its 200 plus neighborhoods and our people. Each are unique in their own special way. What makes this city great? Is it the architecture? Is it the waterfront? Is it the world-class educational systems and healthcare that we provide? Is it the arts? Is it the sports teams? There is so much to offer that we have here in Chicago. However, I am tired of what outsiders are saying about us. What's the narrative? Are we the second city? Are we a flyover city to the coast? Are we losing? Is it difficult to do business in Chicago? Is Chicago a dangerous place to live? It's time to change this narrative and make it personal. I'm hoping that this panel today will help us do so. I'm Chicago, and here's my story. In the mid-1960s, my mom moved here as a single woman, lived and worked as a nurse in Garfield Park at the community hospital. In the late 1960s, my dad was trained and did his residency at Cook County. In order to make money outside of his residence salary, which was not very much back then, he moonlighted at Garfield Hospital where he met my mom. They fell in love, and by the way, happy Valentine's Day. And 55 years ago today, 55 today, I was born. Thank you. On the near northwest side at Norwegian American Hospital. And actually, my two boys who are now 25 and 23 were born at Norwegian American as well. So as you could tell, I'm very proud. And my story is born in Humboldt Park, raised in Highland Park, went to University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, and lived across, lived across from Washington Park. Went on my first date with my wife 31 years ago in Lincoln Park, and have been living at our home in Wicker Park for the last 26, 27 years. It takes commitment, it takes passion, it takes vision, and more importantly, a belief that this city is great. As leaders, we each have to do our part to ensure economic opportunity and growth right here, because the city is shaped by not policy alone. It's refined by the stories we tell, the talent we retain, the companies we build and attract, and the values we collectively bring to life, the soul of Chicago. At a moment of time when cities across America are competing for the same talent, conventions, headquarters, and investment, Chicago definitely stands apart. We've been driven by an unmatched civic spirit, anchored by global infrastructure, and powered by extraordinary cultural gravitas. Soul of Chicago, our conversation today is more than a fireside chat. It is a call to action, a moment for leaders across all these different sectors to come together and co-create a Chicago of tomorrow. A city that competes globally, inspires locally, and thrives in every Chicago neighborhood. To kick off our program, I'm pleased to welcome Mayor Brandon Johnson. He's going to share with us. Mayor Johnson's going to share with us what the soul of Chicago has been, what it continues to be, and what hopefully it will be for the future generations to come. Thank you all, and welcome, Mayor Johnson.
Thank you. There was a shoe traffic jam at the steps there, so I had to make sure that we did that the right way. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for that introduction, and I just want to start off by saying, if you all will just indulge me for just 30 seconds here. So we have lakeside chats in Chicago. So from now on, we don't describe them as the sort of fireside, We can have a fireplace, but let's just make sure that everybody knows that we break ground and we are innovative. So now and henceforth and forever, we will never refer to a chat on a panel as a fireside chat, because we have 20% of the world's fresh water right in our front yard, and we will always have lakeside chats. Let's just make that a thing now. It's really an honor to be with you all this morning. I do want to thank our president and CEO, Dory McWhorter, the entire Executives Club of Chicago for your leadership, your partnership, and your steadfast belief in our beloved city. Let me just make this point absolutely clear. Chicago is the greatest freaking city in the world, hands down. We really are. And I stand before you speaking from a place of absolute confidence. We don't have to explain ourselves. We don't have to defend ourselves. We just get to be who we are. Because the story of Chicago, as what was articulated, it's a story of generations. It's a story of immigrants and descendants of slaves coming up from the South to find refuge here. It's a story of a Black Haitian immigrant and a Potawatomi woman who have the greatest love story of all and established the first business in Chicago, a trade post that would inevitably become the global capital of the world. The story of Chicago is strength, its progress, and its momentum. We are navigating a world that is moving faster than at any point in our lifetime. Federal instability creates real consequences for planning and investment. Markets can certainly shift overnight. We all know that. Technology is rewriting entire industries in real time, and companies are making decisions based not only on their business models, but on whether they believe in the future in a place that they can call home. And so, of course, there are other cities that promise stability. Every city promises talent. Other cities promise momentum. The difference is that Chicago is actually delivering on all of those. And what separates Chicago cannot be measured just simply in a spreadsheet. It cannot be captured in rankings, even though we like being the best big city in America for 9 years in a row based on Condé Nast. But really what separates the city of Chicago, it is our soul. You see, it's the workers that show up early and stay late. It's the entrepreneurs who not only bet on themselves, but they bet on our city. It's the cultural makers that give Chicago its rhythm, its confidence, its identity. It's this room right here. And on the federal holiday that we're celebrating, President Abraham Lincoln, you all choosing to invest your time and your leadership into Chicago's future speaks to the gravitas and the soul of who we are. It demonstrates commitment, your commitment, and that really is the essence of who we are. I want to say something actually that I'm grateful for, that for the first time, we're actually seeing real momentum as we drive violence down. We had the safest summer, the safest year in the city of Chicago in 6 decades. Now, we all know that one homicide and one shooting, one violent crime is one too many, but the truth of the matter is homicides are down. And this is not just based on a national trend, because if homicides and violence were based on national trends, Chicago would have never been in the position that it has been in. In fact, we have doubled the reduction in violence than what we are seeing at the national level, the national trend. And so as shootings continue to go down, as we continue to invest in people, this is not just simply me highlighting numbers, because we do know for those families that did experience violence, that data will not console them. So we're not declaring victory, but we are declaring progress, and that's the point here. And we will not stop until Chicago is the safest, most affordable big city in America. And that progress did not happen by accident. It happened because we had police officers and community partners, outreach workers, particularly our CVI workers, residents, and yes, the business community. All of us stepped forward, and we are stepping forward together. The civic committee invested more than $100 million in violence prevention strategies that actually work. And this is partnership, this is alignment, and this is how we move Chicago forward. Now, let's talk about some of the fundamentals, because in business, of course, fundamentals do matter. Chicago's regional economy stands at $886 billion. That's larger than Taiwan, that's larger than Belgium, that's larger than Sweden. We have the most diversified major metropolitan economy in the nation, which means we are built to be resilient. Our workforce exceeds 5 million people. We graduate 145,000 individuals every year, and our connectivity, rail, road, air, it's all unmatched anywhere in the country. And that's why I'm grateful that yet again, Chicago is now the busiest airport in America. We are moving with great tenacity, but what excites me most is that we're building an economy for tomorrow. Chicago is home to the largest quantum ecosystem in the United States, projected to generate $80 billion in economic impact and nearly 200,000 jobs over the next decade. Domestic and international companies are choosing Chicago because it is a city that is built for breakthrough, and it's a city that is built on innovation, and it's a city that is never done and never outdone. I got you, Kristen. And my administration is committed to making it easier to build in Chicago, and we are doing that in a way that is transforming our city through initiatives like the Cut the Tape and Build Better Together. And if you are ready to invest, and if you are ready to partner, you are in the right room. And so we're seeing transformation across the city. I'm reminded again of the incredible investment on the west side of Chicago, the 1901 project, $7 billion of privately funded development on the west side of Chicago. And we have adopted a new central area plan, our blueprint for modernizing downtown, expanding affordable housing, and strengthening our riverfront. We are investing in young people through expanded youth employment opportunities, and we are investing in families through safe and affordable housing, you all. 31,119 young people for summer jobs. That is the largest amount of summer jobs in the history of Chicago, and we're still climbing. Now, finally, this is not to say that we don't have our challenges. We do. And I'm counting on the White Sox to figure it out. Even as a Cubs fan, I need y'all to win more games, Southsiders. You know, we do have severe challenges. The homelessness crisis. It demands us to be compassionate, to establish long-term solutions. The federal volatility affects every level of planning. And there's a national disinformation machine that seeks to distort the truth about cities like ours. But Chicago, we face our challenges head on. And we do it openly, honestly, and we do it with resolve. And that is why I've worked hard with World Business Chicago to create the Chicago 2050, the first comprehensive economic plan in more than a decade to drive growth. The Chicago 2050 identifies where we are already leading globally, where we will be defined in the next century, and where we must strengthen and improve. I encourage you all to explore it and to engage with it. And to take our story to the world, we launched Shy Forward, our international strategy that is led by World Business Chicago Vice Chair, Mr. Charles Smith. Thank you for your innovation. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for taking our story globally, sir. And so if you have global relationships, we invite you to help carry Chicago's story abroad. Because our greatest competitive advantages is not just our infrastructure, it truly is all of us. It's not just our economy, it's the people. From families who have been here for generations to new arrivals building new beginnings, people will come to Chicago for the same reason, to build a life in a city that welcomes them. Across race, culture, industry, neighborhood, Chicagoans are working together to grow jobs, strengthen communities, and to secure our future. And then, of course, teams across our departments, city council, our neighborhood organizations, all of us coming together. I'll close with this quote as we honor, one of the sons of our great state. And I will use his words. He said, "The best way to predict your future is to create it." And that is our charge, to create a Chicago that is worthy of our children, our grandchildren, a Chicago that is rooted in its soul, confident in its power, and ready for the future that is calling us forward. So thank you all for being here today. Your presence, your leadership, your engagement, that is a part of what makes Chicago so strong. So thank you to the Executives Club of Chicago for your partnership. And of course, I'm looking forward to hanging out with you, but I do have to run. But God bless you all. God bless you, Dory. Let's look forward to this panel, which is a lakeside chat. All right, God bless you all, and God bless the greatest freaking city in the world, the city of Chicago.
Thank you. So I'm going to scoot around you so I can. It's tight up here, ain't it? So first of all, thank you, Mayor. And we will be using Lakeside Chat because we stole Soul of Chicago from you. Because I have to say, one of the very first times I heard you speak and you said the Soul of Chicago, it just hit me. It resonated so deeply. And so as soon as we got the opportunity, we're like, we need to call this panel about how great Chicago is and have these representatives tell that story, the Soul of Chicago. So that's all you. So we will be using Lakeside Chat. So here, you heard it here first. I want to give you, though, a very special speaker gift. Not that our other speaker gifts aren't great, but this is really special. So we went deep, and we found this book from 1893. That's why it's in this plastic, because it will fall apart. But pages are good. The cover kind of 1893-ish. But what's important about this, as we all know, that was the World's Fair at Chicago. But what's more important about that is that Chicago recovered from the Great Fire in 1871. There was so much investment that poured into the city while the rest of the state, or excuse me, the rest of the country went through a recession. And I'm an accountant, so you know I had to look up these numbers. So it would be like, so what happened was that $400 to $500 million of capital flowed into Chicago after 1871. That would be like a single metro area attracting $300 to $400 billion today. We did that in Chicago. I feel like we have this national moment again where Chicago needs to stand up. So we wanted at the club to give you this amazing book, I got a bag for you, don't worry, about the World's Fair in Chicago, because we know that was a moment. Electricity happened here, the Ferris wheel happened here, but also Ida B. Wells came in 1993. So I owe you a book because she wrote another side of the story while Black folks weren't included in the World's Fair. So I'll give you that book too. But we wanted you to have this as a reminder of what you're doing right now to really reestablish our city as an incredible center of the universe. I never say the freaking city because I'm scared I'm gonna make a mistake. I'm not as holy as you, I might make a mistake. But we wanted you to have this book, and we thank you for all you're doing for our city, and we know that we will, again, experience amazing resurgence like we did in 1893. So thank you. Oh, you got it. Your team is great. They're honest. Thank you so much. Well, I'm going to invite the panel up, and I'm also going to invite you all to eat. You all were so good during the mayor's and Henry's remarks, but we do want you to eat this morning, so please. So I'll invite Kenya, Phil, Kristen to join me. Well, I am so fired up, and I just appreciate, thank you again, Mayor, for spending time, I think it's already gone, but thank you for spending time with us this morning. And I'm so looking forward to the conversation with these incredible individuals. I have to say, during our prep call, I had so much fun. I wish we could have just recorded that and called it a day, but it's wonderful to have you. So I want to thank you again, Henry, and our partner, BMO, for kicking us off this morning. We also have a few more incredible partners. So Essential and SDI Presence, we so appreciate your support of the club in this event, so thank you. And I want to thank all of you as well for getting up this morning and joining us. And of course, my incredible team at the Executives Club and the incredible team here at the Ivy Room as well. So we appreciate all of you joining us. You know, we started off just a month ago with the club's annual economic outlook. And this is where, as many of you know, because I know many of you were there, is where we really hear from experts giving us a broader perspective. Hey, Dan, there's our friend Dan, City Club. Hey, Dan. Giving us a broader economic perspective, and including where the Dow will be. And we have to shout out Dr. Bob, hit it on the head. 50,000, first time Dr. Bob called it. So I appreciate that the club was where he said it, and now it's come true. So we're excited about that. But what we wanted to do is really shape the narrative. So we talked about in January what's happening broadly from the economic perspective, but we really thought it'd be appropriate to bring it home and really talk about what's happening in Chicago. Now, we do that annual economic outlook, clearly annually. We may talk about this little lakeside chat being annually, but we really thought it was important to hear about what's happening in Chicago, and really thought that you all, of course, are really the folks that have your pulse and your fingertips on that. So I'm going to jump right in and start off with having each of you introduce yourselves. I'll go from, actually I'm going to go Phil, Kristen, and then Kenya, because I'm going to kick it off with you. So I'm sorry. Go ahead, Phil. Right. Get yours.
Go first?
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Good morning. Phil Clement. I'm the CEO of World Business Chicago. It's a public-private, thank you. That's right. Team in the back, clearly. We are the private-public partnership that works to grow the city's economy.
And then Kristen.
Good morning. Thanks for being here. Kristen Reynolds. I am the, thank you, cheers, Choose Chicago, President and CEO of Choose Chicago. I'm going to do the Haley Bieber. Everybody do that. Happy to be here. Been in Chicago for 9 months now, and really grateful for all of the support. Looking forward to the conversation.
Wonderful. And Kenya.
Good morning, everyone. Kenya Merritt. I'm currently wearing 2 hats. The first as Deputy Mayor of Business, Economic, and Neighborhood Development for Mayor Brandon Johnson, and the second hat is Acting Commissioner for Cultural Affairs and Special Events. Again, let's just say I'm so happy to see so many familiar faces in this place. So, Dory, thank you so much for inviting us here to talk.
For sure. And the reason I wanted Kenya to go last, because as you can hear, she is literally the bridge of our city, right? The work that she's doing, I know she's wearing 2 hats, but you do it so beautifully, so we appreciate you. But Kenya really is literally at the center of what we're seeing from a business and economic development perspective, and which is inclusive of what we're doing and seeing in the cultural and tourism space. So we really appreciate Kenya's perspective, and thank you for joining us. So we heard the mayor talk about Chicago and his vision. So Kenya, I'll start with you. How do you see the mayor's vision taking shape over the long term, and what key steps are needed to ensure that Chicago continues to evolve?
Yeah, so I'd like to say that the gift that you gave him, I think certainly marks a moment that we're in now. Taking a page out of my colleague's book, I think Chicago is having a renaissance right now. And so when we talk about success, and I know that you had the economic outlook, it's more than what you measure, it's what you feel. And I think that what we've done over the past 2.5 years, not only do we have the great numbers, and you'll see them on the boards here, but people are starting to feel a sense of progress in our city. And so what we've done and what we've focused on over the past 2.5 years and what we'll continue to do is lean in on investments and growth across our 77 neighborhoods, but through an equitable lens. We're also looking to continue to fund in ways that are different and that are innovative. And so one of the things that we did when we first started in the administration was figure out what are the tools that we have to drive our economy forward. And we realized that we had some gaps. And so we passed what was then a $1.25 billion bond, which gave us the flexibility to drive investments in our neighborhoods that will hopefully spur private investments in our neighborhoods as well. And I think some of that work is starting to happen when you see this $10 billion number next to us. And I think where we're getting to, and this was the mayor's tagline, is a better, stronger, safer Chicago. When you look at the numbers, they are indicating that Chicago is safer. The mayor stated the data, and I think that people are starting to feel that.
Thank you, Kenya. So, Kristen, I'll pop over to you. So, over the weekend, Kenya was on ABC 7 and really spoke to culture and vibrancy, which have sometimes often been seen as an afterthought and not necessarily core to the business. So what do you think continues to draw people to Chicago? And I shouldn't say core to the business, but core to our economic development. But what continues to draw people to Chicago, and how do both vibrancy and business play a role in that appeal?
Well, yeah, I'm sorry, Kenya, I missed it, but I've heard you say that many times, and you're totally right. What we do here from a cultural perspective is, as the mayor likes to say, never done, never outdone. So I really love that brand. The reason why we launched that brand this year is to speak to that, because Chicago is always evolving. Even the book that you gave, again, it's never done. We're always changing, we're always thriving, and we're always growing, and we're never settling for second best, and we're never outdone. And whether it's sports or culture or community, that's what makes this city, I think, truly unique and different. Is how it comes together with everyone. So I think people like coming to Chicago. I mean, I was a visitor here many, many times because my husband grew up in the suburbs. And I would come here with my family, and I loved it. There was something new and different every time. I'm now one of those people that did it for me when I see people like looking at their phones on the street and trying to figure out where they go. I offer them directions. These are things that don't happen in New York, where I moved from, just so you know, which is fine. You know, they have their own thing. But that's what makes Chicago special, is the people and the stories, and how much what I've learned since moving here, which has been really inspiring to me and eye-opening, and I think is a big part of our secret sauce, is how much every single Chicagoan wants Chicago to succeed. People deeply, deeply love this city. And I think that's what we're feeling in this momentum right now, kind of to your opening points. People really want us to succeed, and that's what's bringing us together.
Awesome. So, Phil, you were also on ABC 7 Chicago this weekend with Kenya. That sounds like a great show. I like Phil and Kenya's show, right?
Yeah.
So we should.
I love it.
Yeah. Kenya and Phil. I like that too.
We should do it.
And
I'm feeling left out.
And Kristen. Kenya, Phil,
already have
and
a
Kristen,
podcast.
I
and
love it. You heard it here, folks.
friends.
This is where it all started.
An award-winning
Lakeside Chats and with Phil, Kenya, and Kristen. Got it. So Phil, I would love for you to speak to specifically what are some of those initiatives or opportunities that you're really leaning into at World Business Chicago that's achieving what we've heard about today?
Okay, sure. And there are plenty, but first I'd like to mention Kenya's third hat, which is just being awesome. And yes.
She wears that one well.
Yes. We are all working hard for the city, and you are working harder than anyone. And I don't know how you do it. So thank you for that. So look, when we get a chance to compete for a business, we are, by the way, the #1 destination for business relocations in the country. If you're not familiar with that statistic, it's an important one to know. It is collected by a group called Site Selection. It's a quantitative decision. There are minimum requirements of jobs and square feet, and we get a chance, we win. Right? I'd say we have about a 50% win rate, which is outrageous. Why? It tends to be because I'll give you the short version. By the way, the long version is in the book. But the short version is people, place, and power. Okay, so if I were to first talk about people, our workforce, over 5 million. If you need a forklift driver, you're going to find a great one. If you need a quantum scientist, you're going to find a great one. People here are known to have been educated. They can get re-educated in great schools. And we have fresh talent entering the system every year. So one thing I want you not to get worried about in August. Every August, you're going to see that unemployment goes up. That is one of our greatest treasures. 140 to 160,000 students are entering our economy. You'll notice almost every year you get to see that employment is up in November. And that's because they're absorbed. And that's part of our growth story. We're also known for working really hard. So the people are super important. The next part is place. Still important to be in the middle of Mexico and Canada. If you add those two economies to ours, there's nothing like it on the planet. More trade between those three partners than anywhere else in the world. So being on the lake, being on a river that connects to a southern continent, all these things matter. And that's why we have transportation and logistics. That's why we have the busiest airport. Place matters, and then it's all affordable. Whatever you need, if you need new space, if you need to by the farms, if you need to be by the water, if you need metropolitan density, you're here. Last piece is power. So, and that's a big grouping for everything that's in infrastructure, utilities, water. Illinois still exports power to other states. So if you need some sort of utility, we tend to be the most affordable in comparison. So we are weighing in on everything that amplifies that, translates it to growing industries that create great jobs. And it's a good script to have.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Letting you get your applause, Phil.
Yeah.
Perfect. So Kristen, for the areas that you're focused on, what are some of those initiatives and opportunities that you're really doing?
So we're doing a lot. Choose Chicago, people, I've been really excited to share with what we do, because people think we put some ads, maybe you see us sponsoring some events, and we go home. The number one thing we do is we have the nation's largest convention center in Chicago, and that is really what makes our tourism economy so powerful, is because we're bringing in events that bring in 40,000 people in 1 week. And every single week we have these critical events. Each one of these events is worth over $200 million in economic impact every week. And so what happens when you have that built-in business, and they're booked, right now we're booking business right now through 2040. So what we're doing today is impacting the next decade. And we have those on the books. And then what happens is that gives the hotels the confidence to maybe raise their rate a little bit for that leisure traveler. Everybody loves that exclusive in-demand destination. And so then you have the leisure traveler. Then we have maybe sporting events, music festivals that will come. That adds on top. And that's how you create a successful ecosystem. So doing the things behind the scenes that we do every day is really the crux of our work. But what you'll see us doing mostly is launching new campaigns, like the one I mentioned, that really is more than just a tourism. We're not saying visit Chicago. We're telling you about what Chicago feels like and what our community expresses and who we are as a people. And that's what I love about it. And then when we had, some pushback last summer, I'm not sure if you heard, but there was a little bit of a negative narrative out there about our city. Our city was trying to be painted as unsafe, unwelcoming. Everywhere I went across the country, people were asking me, "Are you okay?" I mean, and it was not a condescending question. I mean, people were really, we were in London, and the pictures on the national global news were of like tear gas, and it looked like, you would have thought it was like Beirut, So we had to act fast, and to do that, we launched the new All for the Love of Chicago campaign. Hopefully you've all seen it. It's a social media campaign, just launched a new podcast, but giving the voice to the people and letting people know what Chicago's all about. Because if we're not the ones telling our story, somebody will tell it for us. It's still going to be out there. It's just not going to be from our voice. So it's a big job. It really is. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to do. There's a lot to say. There's many markets and communities across the globe that we have to compete in. But luckily, I have an incredible team at Choose Chicago that is so dedicated and that I was able to walk into. They're incredible. And I have many board of directors in this room, including my board chair, Guy Ciprioni, and they really guide the ship. So, thanks for all the work that you do.
Wonderful.
Can I just double click on the campaign, All for the Love of Chicago? So when I share, one of the things that we talked about in terms of how you measure success is how people feel. I just want to give Kristen her flowers with the All for the Love of Chicago campaign. So for folks that are in Chicagoans, we know why we love our city, right? We can talk about it all day, every day, 24/7. But to be able to capture that in a moment and to be able to articulate that publicly was done perfectly. And I don't think people realize the impact that has on our economy. So when people come and visit, think about the DNC. Our front door was open. People that had never been to Chicago left saying, I didn't know it was so beautiful. I didn't know it was so clean. No shade to the other city that's dirty. I didn't know there was so much culture. I didn't know that you can catch a show here for half the price of what you can get in New York. And so the draw and the work that you do to draw people here to have those experiences certainly supports our economy and the quality of life for folks that work here.
I appreciate that, Kenya. Actually, one of my favorite TikTok videos is of people expressing their love for Chicago, and the caption I think says, "Get you someone who loves you like people from Chicago love Chicago." So.
I mean, come on, we're tattooing the flag on our bodies. Where are they doing that?
So, but as much as we love Chicago, and the mayor mentioned this, we do have our challenges, right? And so Kenya, I'll start with you, but I really do want each of you to speak on how you're addressing some of these challenges and really how you're trying to figure out how you also, while you're addressing the challenges, navigate public perception. So Kenya, I will start with you because I know you're doing a lot.
Yeah, so I'll start with the deputy mayor hat. For me, economic development is critically important, right? Making sure that we have investments in our neighborhoods, making sure that people have the tools and the resources that they need to be successful. And I think that Chicago is poised to make sure that we do that. It's poised to do that in an equitable way and serve as a model for other cities. Look, the mayor shared a little bit about the story of immigrants that come here to Chicago. You shared your story. My story is similar. My grandmother migrated from Mississippi. She was a sharecropper. A couple of generations later, my son is now exploring law school at Harvard. The opportunities here in Chicago are endless. And it's possible, no matter where you come from, to succeed. And so I think for all of us that are on this stage, as well as for all of you, we're charged to make sure that as the city grows, that it's growing in an equitable way. And that's what we're focused on the economic development side. On the fun side, the DK side, is essentially to make sure that people are having fun here, that they're able to experience culture. So culture is not only a part of quality of life, we know that it gives Chicago our competitive advantage. I know that we have Lori from Harris Theater in the room, some of our other cultural leaders here in this space, but the work that they're doing to ensure that people have access to do the things that they love sets Chicago apart. And so that's important for me in my role as DK's commissioner.
Wonderful. Phil, I know you're really keenly focused on the challenges as well, given what you're trying to do to attract business here.
Yeah, sure. So, the Chicago 2050 is a great document. I really am proud of it. I think people read it. It's a lot of documents aren't meant to be read. This one really is. There's, if you go through it, you'll find 10, 15 super important stories about Chicago and how we develop. But it's important to have a plan, and now we have one. It outlines what we wish to do. No surprise, we intensified our focus on 6 industries where they're going to grow faster than the other industries. There's job density, good jobs for Chicagoans. And we have, some people would like to say, a right to win. We're in the top 3 in those sectors. So a lot of effort that we're going to be doing is around those 6 industries and making sure that the ecosystems are healthy, capital's being attracted, and that we're going after all the companies that are needed to be part of that ecosystem. We did 2 things, though, different in our economic study than has, as far as I can tell, has ever been done before. So the plan, we revisited the city's plan of 2012, and our study was new. And instead of throwing the baby in the bathwater out, we actually revised the plan, and that's why we came up with the same 6 industries refreshed in different ways. But we added 2 things. One was big bets. So trying to get ahead rather than reactionary to the economy. So those are quantum technology, where, again, important that we continue to win. I mean, literally, there are those who would say the city, the country that wins in quantum wins, period. National defense, technology, et cetera. And we have, the great start. We have a head start. The other one is clean energy. So we'll be doing that. But where this stuff all starts to tie together is we selected an 8th area of focus, which is vibrancy. And it was such an unusual choice for an economic study that we even were arguing with our economists. And there's a long tradition of saying vibrancy is the last thing that large, thriving, financially successful cities will philanthropically support the arts. But what we were noticing is cities like Detroit, Nashville, Austin started with reputation and drew population and drew economic activity in there. So we have another industry we created with talent that is shared. So, folks that are in the music industry are usually also in marketing. They might be working in the restaurant industry. It's a shared ecosystem that's not always looked at as an industry. So we created that group, and we're going after it. And then it's classic economic development after that. We go and we attract companies. We try to get as many leads. I appreciated our reception. I got a few people who are going to give me some leads. And like I said, when we get in there, we compete. I would say the biggest competitor Chicago has is omission. So if you're sitting in Paris and you're starting to think about where you're going to expand globally, we're not on the list all the time. If you're in Chicago and you're going to expand globally, you always think of London first. It's just like, that's how global expansion works. It's not as rigorous as you'd like to think. It's not a super savvy spreadsheet that everyone's going through and hiring the best of the best to determine it. So we got to get into more of those. And then, as the mayor mentioned, Charles's effort with Shy Forward is an incredible attraction of capital. Again, brand new. I can't find any evidence of this having been done historically in economic development, where we're taking projects, big projects, important projects, and bringing them across the sea to people who are looking to invest in the U.S. And also working with national investors to start and create high yield projects here. So that's a few of the greatest hits right now, I guess. Yeah.
Thank you, Phil. So, Kristen, as you're looking at the challenges how are you addressing? When you look at the challenges, how are you defining those challenges and addressing them?
Well, I was thinking, Phil, I should have talked to your economists because, leading with vibrancy, in the tourism industry, we have what we call the destination cycle. And if you just think about it, you're not going to relocate or move a business or consider someplace that you have a negative perception of. You're just not. Right. And so how do you change people's perceptions? And so the destination cycle starts with, if you create a place where people want to visit, you create a place where people want to live. And if people want to live there, then you create a place where business has to be. And if the business is there, then you have to travel there to do business. And then you're visiting. And so it really all does, we like to say in the industry, it all starts with the visit. Yep. And so that's our role, to let everybody in the world know about Chicago. And that's expensive. That takes money. And Chicago is a great place, and I've heard some people say, like, people will just come here, Kristen, because Chicago's so great. Just because we know it's great, the world doesn't know. And it takes investment. And so right now our budget at Choose Chicago is about $33 million. And that's a lot of money. It's a great investment in what we're doing. But if you look at our competitors, we compete primarily with Orlando. Their budget's $120 million. Vegas is over $200 million. So they have so eclipsed us in their investment and their spending that our market share has slipped. And I love talking to the executive club because you guys get, like, when I talk about market share, I talk to other people and they like glaze over. So I'm in the right audience. But we are now in a lower category. We're now competing with Indianapolis and New Orleans and Dallas because their budgets have now equaled or surpassed ours. So we're working on a tourism improvement district. You've probably read about it, which is a privatized new funding stream that the hotels have come together and offered to do. This has started 25 years ago in California. There's over 200 of them nationwide. Chicago is one of the last major cities to have one, and it would double our budget. And the more we can spend, the more we can tell people about why they should come to Chicago and move their business here and move their lives here.
No, I appreciate that, Kristen. One of the things, we are at the Executives Club of Chicago, and we recognize here that leadership matters. And people just don't wake up every day and decide that, oh, I'm going to be a leader. It happens over time. I feel especially fortunate to have gotten to know each of you and would love for you to actually share your backgrounds and why you choose to do the work you do. So I'll start with you, Phil, and go right down the line.
Okay. Well, in some ways, this is a return to my original intention. So when I went to graduate school, I went to the Harris School of Public Policy at University of Chicago and studied econometrics, and then went over to the business school, and the first job I got was in technology, and I just kept running in that direction. And I spent 70 quarters in the C-suite of big, large companies. Every quarter is the most important quarter of your life. And I mean that quite seriously. We did that. These were large companies, global footprints. And whenever I would enjoy the China trip, the global footprint, but I wanted to come home. I wanted to contribute to my city. And economies matter. Cities are just the net product of a bunch of things people bring to them, right? Whether it's something they paint or an architect or somebody who builds a road. And these are linked in shadows, right? We get to appreciate things other people did. When you look at an economy, it affects generations. And decisions we made 3 generations ago are creating generational wealth for some. Decisions we made 3 generations ago reinforced a poverty cycle as well on the other extreme. And then there's a lot of stuff in the middle. So as far as a chance to contribute to the city, working on our economy is very much right back to that soul of Chicago, particularly when you realize that vibrancy and every industry adds to that thriving nature of the city. That's what I find extraordinarily motivating at this moment in time. So getting a chance to do exactly what I want.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And Kenya, I know you have a great background and have served under a few different administrations. So would love for people to know why you're excited about what you're doing now and what brought you to this work and that background.
So this work is incredibly important, but also personal for me. So lifelong Chicagoan, born and raised on Chicago's west side, North Lawndale, Austin. Having grown up in those neighborhoods, for me, you're able to see what people used to call the tale of 2 cities. Yeah. And so the fast forward to be in this role after having served in multiple roles in public sector across my 25 years, to sit in this role to be able to drive investment and economic development for the city, I feel like it's a have to do for me, a need to do for me, for the people that live in this city. I want to touch on leadership, the way that you opened this question. Our cultural leaders in Chicago are so incredibly important for changing the narrative. And I do want to just acknowledge some that are in the room. The Tate brothers, like, they rep Chicago hard in LA. And so when we talk about our narrative and amplifying that globally, leaders like the Tate brothers, like Nora at the Art Institute, I think I shouted out Lori at the Harris, the work that they do, and forgive me for anybody else that's in this room that's working in that space, the work that they do is so incredibly important. But what I love about our cultural leaders from Chicago is wherever they go, they stand 10 toes down for Chicago. And we just need for everybody across all different sectors to do it the same way that they do it. And that can help with growing our economy. So the little girl like me that grew up in North Lawndale, that now has a kid that will potentially go to Harvard for law school, that we're creating those opportunities across our city for everybody.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kenya. And Kristen, round us out.
I'm not from Chicago. I'm from a small West Texas town called Midland, Texas. And if you've seen Landman, you've seen Midland, Texas. So I was just saying this to my colleague I was having dinner with the other day, and I was like, if I could just go back and tell that little girl sometimes that someday you're going to be, representing the greatest city in the world, Chicago. It's pretty amazing to be here, and I feel lucky to be here. It's certainly, I didn't ever expect to be in such an incredible role and in such an incredible city. I went to the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism at Arizona State, where both of my daughters are there right now. Go Devils! I'll be there in a couple weeks. But I think, I fell into the tourism industry. And I didn't know anything about it. I didn't understand it. And I had the opportunity to experience not only travel and, what we do in tourism is economic development, obviously, like I explained. But I always say when you're in your last days or moments, you're not thinking about that couch that you spent the money on or that whatever. You're going to remember the moments in your life. And so many of those moments are when you're traveling, when you got engaged, when you had your family reunion, when your son graduated from Harvard and you went to his commencement ceremony. That's what we do in our business is we create those incredible memories. When we have conventions, people come and they collaborate on ideas that change their industries. But really, what I learned throughout the years and decades of doing this is what I saw firsthand is the jobs that we create. What I love about tourism is they're not just jobs, they're careers. It's still one of the few industries that you don't have to have any specific degree. You can start from the ground up as a dishwasher or a bellman, and you can own your own restaurant. You can be the general manager as long as you have a good attitude and a hard work ethic. And I've had the pleasure of living this industry and seeing it firsthand, the difference it can make in people's lives. So I just, I think when I was applying for this industry, I was talking to Kenya, and she's like, what is it going to be? I'm like, I think why I belong in Chicago is because I won't be outworked. I don't rest. I believe in what we do, and I will work hard every single day for the opportunity that you've given me to be in this role. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you all. I could talk to this esteemed group of panelists for a very long time, but I know we all have to go to work to make Chicago great. So let's give this panel a round of applause. Thank you all. And before I let you all go, I want to remind you of the upcoming programs of the Executives Club. So March 3rd, so a few weeks, as I talk about the annual economic outlook, now we've gone to a little deeper in Chicago. We're going to bring it back to the Edelman Trust Barometer that really leans into the consumer behavior that, quite frankly, drives all of this. And so with that study, we're proud to be the first stop of the Edelman Trust Barometer once they come back from Davos. And so that'll happen on March 3rd at the Harris Theater. So we're really excited to bring, the Edelman Trust Barometer there for the first time. And before I let you out of here, I would like to sing happy birthday to Henry and his 220 quarters. So today, 220 quarters today. Thank you, Phil. So on the count of 3, we'll say happy birthday, Henry. So happy birthday, stand up, Henry, to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Henry. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Go Chicago. Have a wonderful day, and thank you all for being here.